Law may seem to be complex, but understanding it doesn't have to be. Welcome to Law School Simplified 256, where we make law easy to understand. In this video, we are going to look at the sources of law. However, for purposes of timely updates, I encourage you to subscribe, like, share, and also comment on our videos. I also encourage you to turn on the notification button so that you can be notified whenever we make any upload. As a law student pursuing a certificate, a diploma, or a bachelor's degree in law, you must know the different sources of law. Where do the laws emanate from? And also you should not ignore the definition of the term law. So we shall look at the definition of law, and we shall look at the different sources of law. You must note that different scholars define law differently. However, according to the Ugandan legal system, law is defined as a set of rules backed by sanctions for its breach, enforceable by courts and arbitrations. That is our definition of the term law. So let us proceed to the different sources of law. The sources of law have been categorized into two. That is the primary sources of law and the secondary sources of law. We shall look at the primary sources of law first, then we shall look at the secondary sources of law. Our first primary source of law is the 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda as amended. That is our first primary source. You must know that the Constitution is the grand norm. This is the mother law. Therefore, all the laws must be consistent with the Constitution. When you look at Article 2 of the Constitution, it provides for the supremacy of the Constitution, that any law or custom that is inconsistent with the Constitution shall, to the extent of its inconsistency, be declared null and void. Therefore, we see that all the laws must be consistent with the Constitution. Also, when we look at the case of Paul Kawanga Ssemwogerere and another versus the Attorney General, court held that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land and has binding force on all authorities throughout Uganda. Therefore, and any law or custom that is inconsistent with the Constitution shall, to the extent of its inconsistency, be declared null and void. So we see that all the laws must be consistent with the Constitution. That's why we have cases where different provisions of the law have been declared null and void. Why? Because they are inconsistent with the law. I encourage you to look at the case of Salvatore Aboki versus the Attorney General. Also, I encourage you to look at the case of Charles Onyango and another versus the Attorney General, where Section 50 of the Penal Code Act, Cap 120, was declared null and void because it was inconsistent with Article 29, Article 40, and Article 43 of the Constitution. That is our first primary source of law. We shall proceed to the second one, being the Acts of Parliament. Some people refer to them as statutes or as written laws, but for us, we shall refer to them as Acts of Parliament. Acts of Parliament, I may give you an example, being the Interpretation Act, Cap 2. We have the Penal Code Act, Cap 128, and then we have the Contracts Act, Cap 284, to mention but a few. Those are examples of Acts of Parliament. Now, you must know that under Article 79, the Parliament is given mandate to make laws. And also when you look at Article 91, it gives the procedure by which the bill becomes law. So the parliament is the one that makes the laws. When you look at the case of Maria Matembe and others versus the Attorney General, where it was held that the legislature should be left with its constitutional mandate, which is to make law without any external interference. Therefore, when the parliament is making laws, when it is passing laws, there must be no external interference. That is our second primary source. Let us proceed to our third primary source of law. That is the case law. Case law. Case law. This is a body of decisions by courts of competent jurisdiction or courts of competent authority. Now, these decisions, they are always made by the higher courts in rank, and lower courts are binding on them, or they are binding on lower courts. When you look at the case of Remo Richard versus the Media Sub-County Local Government, where it was held that whereas the highest court in the hierarchy has the liberty to divert or depart from its earlier decisions, courts below do not have such liberty. They are bound to follow such decisions unless if they can distinguish or they find that these decisions are binary. Now, the term binary means that where the court has overlooked a certain principle or it has overlooked a certain law. So where we see that the Supreme Court has overlooked a certain law or a certain principle, then the High Court can divert from the decision of the Supreme Court. And also, where the High Court can find out that the facts of the case that I'm handling today is different from the facts of the case that was handled by the Supreme Court, then the High Court can divert from the decision of the Supreme Court. But you must note that the decisions of the Supreme Court, they are binding on the courts in the lower hierarchy. Let us proceed to the next primary source of law, that is the customary law. The customary law. When you look at section 14 and section 15 of the Judicature Act, we see that the High Court is given a mandate to practice or also exercise the customary laws. The customary law. When you look at the case of Kabakazi government versus Chitonto, where it was held that where common law conflicts with customary law, then customary law prevails. Customary law prevails. That is our primary source of law. Let us proceed to the next primary source of law, that is equity. Equity. This is a body of rules of fairness, goodwill, natural justice, and honesty. Now, the purpose of equity is to correct all the injustices that have been created or that have been made by common law. So where common law comes up with inequalities, we see that we use equity. And also where there is strict application of law, we use equity. Now, we are going to look at some of the maxims of equity. However, we shall look at just a few, not everything. When we look at the case of Harrison versus Duke of Scotland, the court laid down the maxims of equity and stated that equity follows the law. Equity follows the law. And then another one is that equity will not suffer a wrong without a remedy. Another one is equity. He who seeks equity must do equity. And then our next is he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. Those are some of the maxims of equity. Let us proceed to our next primary source of law, that is international conventions and treaties. Now, these are international agreements that establish mutual rights and obligations to the rectifying countries or rectifying states. We have many laws that have been enacted as a result of these international conventions or treaties. When you look at the Wetlands Convention that was held in 1971, it led to the formation or to the enactment of the Wildlife Act that we are having today. And also it influenced the enactment of the National Environment Act of Uganda and many other laws. So those have been our primary sources of law. We are going to proceed to the secondary sources of law. The secondary sources of law, these are subsidiary or delegated legislation. They are also called statutory instruments. Now, when you look at the definition of the term a statutory instrument, the definition is found under section 14 of the Interpretation Act, Cap 2, where it is defined as where any act confers on the president, a minister, or any other authority a power to make or a power exercisable by making proclamations, rules, regulations, bylaws, statutory orders, or statutory instruments. Any document by which that power is exercised shall be known as a statutory instrument. So that is the definition of a statutory instrument. Also, when you look at Article 79, it gives a mandate to Parliament to make the laws. But Parliament can also give power to another body to make laws. Now, Parliament gives power through statutory instruments. That's how Parliament gives other bodies or other persons power to make laws. Another secondary source is the ordinances. The ordinances, these are defined under section 40 of the Local Government Act, Cap 138, that a district council shall have powers to make laws not inconsistent with the Constitution or with any other law enacted by the Parliament. And it shall be through passing the bills, these local bills, into ordinances. Therefore, these local governments, they can also make laws, but these laws are called ordinances. Let us look at the other secondary source, that is bylaws. Bylaws are also found under section 41 of the Local Government Act, Cap 138, which provides that an urban, sub-county, division, or village council may, in relation to its powers and functions, make bylaws not inconsistent with the Constitution or any other laws enacted by the Parliament. So, a sub-county, a local council, or a village council can come up with laws, and then these laws, they are called bylaws. They should not be inconsistent with the Constitution. Let us look at another secondary source, that is directions. Directions. When you look at Article 133 of the Constitution, it gives a mandate to the Chief Justice that the Chief Justice may issue orders or directions to the courts necessary for the proper and efficient administration of justice. Therefore, the Chief Justice can come up with these orders or directions to for the proper functioning or for the proper administration of justice. Let us look at the rules. Rules. These are the next secondary sources of law. A rule is a prescribed guide or a principle or an instruction that dictates how something is done. When you look at section 44 and section 45 of the Judicature Act, Cap 16, it provides for the rules that the Rules Committee may by statutory instrument make rules for regulating the practice and procedure of the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, and the High Court of Uganda, and all subordinate courts below the High Court. So, the Rules Committee can come up with rules under section 45 of the Judicature Act, Cap 16. Let us proceed to our next secondary source of law, that is regulations. Regulations. A regulation is a law, is a binding rule that is created by an executive branch, agency, or department, or it can be a local authority. A regulation also carries the full force of law and is designed to clarify, implement, and enforce broad statutes enacted by a legislative body. So these are regulations. Lastly, our secondary source of law is the books of authority. The books of authority. The books of authority. These must be authored by prominent persons. The prominent persons that we have today, we have Professor Bachiringa, Professor Kanyehamba. When you look at his book, that is, when you look at the book of authority, that is an example, that is the Principles of Contracts Law in Uganda by Professor Bain. That one, you can use it because it is the book of authority in Uganda. That has been our topic, sources of law. I encourage you to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Let us meet in our next video.